Okay, so here I am at the beginning of turn 6, and I noticed something that I forgot. At first I thought the Philistines were going to be allied with everyone, but no, they invaded Moab territory here. So they're no longer allied with the Moabs, in fact can't be for the rest of the game. I've marked that can't be with those counters over there instead. I thought it was kind of a cute situation because Judah and the Philistines have decided to come to an alliance. How big a deal is this? Well, probably nothing, because I think Aramea is going to win this game hands down. But if they are stopped somehow, or if I continue past their victory, then the fact that Moab and the Philistines can't ally may be an issue. Basically, the Philistines are unwilling to just leave these lying here, especially since Judah would just take them in that case. And really, part of the agreement with Judah is that the Philistines get that territory. All right, I got to pull some action track markers, and then we start. And it looks to me very, very likely, we're down to 4 players now, that the Aramaeans are going to win. And we're ready to kick things off. We have a bunch of production, resource, harvest, resource, then 2 action phases before there's a build phase. So people are going to be dealing a good deal, at least for the next couple action phases, with what they've got lying on the board right now. But then they'll have sufficient purchasing power for the build phase. Harvests are less important than resources towards building new troops. They're more important towards maintaining troops. So that works out pretty well. We should see a resurgence of whatever forces if they're still left. Things like Moab, it's kind of questionable. They might not be there. Anyway, I don't know, I was having all kinds of thoughts about games kind of like this, but I think I'll hold that for the review. Alright, I forgot to set up the initiative track, and we see that Judah and the Philistines have chosen to move together. They actually rolled next to each other, so it's not really a big deal, but it allows them a little bit of flexibility in terms of moving into each other's areas. Judah officially moved first. I may try to follow that as much as possible, kind of separate them a little bit more, just because I'm playing this solo. Alright, well, let's collect some of that money, and then get moving with the troops. Alright, filled out those extra resource phases, and pulled up some new chits. We have an event, then an action, then another event. No more builds, no more resources coming. The events, who knows what they're going to affect, because we don't know what the phases are here. But at least we have one before the next action phase. Point-wise, Aramea broke the 200 points. There's no way to put the money over there, but they converted it 2-for-1 to resources. Legal, not, I don't care. You know, it seems applicable in this case. Everyone else piled it on, and we've got a decent amount of resources across the board. So after the next couple actions, there's going to be a significant build coming. There's no question there. Everybody's going to throw a lot of troops on the board. And it's at that point where Aramea really is going to prove their mettle. If they've already, in 2 rounds, they can't break Moab, right? They can only get down to here. Actually, they could get to the city, but there's going to be at least a few spaces for Moab left. Moab may not be able to produce troops if the city's taken, but at the very least, there'll still be actions to take to try to destroy them. Beyond that, there's not a lot Aramea can really do. I mean, they can push down against the Philistines. They can try to defend themselves against Judah, who's going to be the real danger for them. Alright, well, let's see what happens. And by the way, Aramea is going to kick off their turn by actually kind of cheating and playing a bunch of Bedouins, which will allow them to push against Moab. Might allow them to reinforce and take Judah head on with that main stack. First action phase out of the way. And what do we see? Ooh, harvest. Big push, Aramea trying to get Moab out of the way. If they can destroy Moab, that puts things much, much better into their hands. Also a crunch down, taking the Philistine city up there. Just, you know, putting themselves in that kind of position now. If they can take this city, these two cities, and maybe this one up here, whatever, they're in a very strong position where it's going to be really, really hard to dig them out of that automatic victory. And whether or not we want to play till the last turn, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Judah was able to push forward into here because of an Aramaean withdrawal. And we have Abisha taking command of some Philistines and marching a combined force up. This will go to the Philistines. That's their agreement. But, you know, at least some reinforcements heading up north. Okay, well, at the second action round, yeah, I've had a little bit too much vodka. The Moabs have captured the Aramaeans have captured the only Moab city. At this point, Moab's basically destroyed. They still exist. If they had troops on the board, they could keep playing. But once this falls, they don't produce, and they can't build any troops unless this city is recovered. So they're pretty much out of the game at this point. What we see, Judah made an attack here at Medeba and were driven off. They made a surprise attack, actually. They had the surprise hit. Up here, there was an attack, I think here, by the Philistines, and they also were beaten off. It really does not look very good for the rest of the players. The Arameans have this pretty much in the bag. We're going to hit a build phase, which gives them a little bit of a chance to change the dynamics a bit, but the Arameans have so many points, and they're not too far from Judah here, so that they can actually bring their troops to bear fairly quickly. Judah cannot bring its troops to bear quickly. It's way back here, and the Philistines, while they can, have the large number of current standing Aramaean forces in place. So, well, there's actually larger numbers sitting over here, especially when you include those Bedouins in there. But as it stands, I just don't see anyone standing against them particularly. Alright, and then we have an event, and then more action. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we get to see one more peak, another resource. Without an action phase in there, there's not much chance of things changing much. At this point, I believe Aramea is exactly at victory points. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes. So someone has to take something from them or they'll get the automatic victory. And I think they're pretty much guaranteed the final victory as well, with the way things stand. Alright, done with that build phase. And we can see pretty much everybody spent what they, well, the maxims. The Philistines have spent all their money. They have some more troops. Judah did not spend all their food, but they have kind of a hard time reaching with their forces. So they want to be a little bit more conservative than the Philistines feel they can or have to be. Aramea, well, they actually still have troops, but again, they're out of resources. They have a lot of extra food. They have a few extra troops to build. But they'd rather, again, keep a balance because it takes a while for the troops to get in place. And additionally, they have these Bedouins that they can throw in and use as cannon fodder. Alright, well, we hit an event phase. We'll draw things there, see if anything exciting happens, and then we'll just run into the action phase. Well, it looks like it's going to be a close run thing. I think the Aramaeans can hold out this city. But up here, the two cities along the Philistine border, they may have some real trouble. They built up their walls, but they've got a force that's almost as big as them and another one that's larger than them coming into play against them. If either of them can win and take the city, the game doesn't end quite yet. I already moved the Aramaeans, and this is about the best they could do. They could have launched an attack against Joab, but that doesn't really help them. They could have perhaps launched some sort of attack here, but again, it's not really to their advantage. Well, see, had they launched attacks in both of these and won them, that would pretty much guarantee them the game, because there'd be no way around. But if they can win attacks there, they can win the defensive attacks, they figure. Well, it depends on what the chips are that the Philistines hold. If they hold surprise chips or ambushes, that definitely changes who's got the advantage, the attacker or the defender. But otherwise, nothing really has any effect. All right, well, we're on that action phase. We're partway through we've finished the Aramaean turn. Judah can't really do much, but the Philistines perhaps can. Well, it's highly unlikely the game's going to be over this turn. Except for the Moab. The game's over for them, period. But for the rest of the players, well, the Philistines, under the command of Abisha, have taken Dor back. And that means the Aramaeans are 1 point away from winning. There's no more action phases this turn, just some really resource collection of various kinds, and an event phase, of course. So we'll be heading into the next turn and seeing if the Alliance can hold off Aramaea, and we have to go all to 7 this way. All right, I'll finish up all those points and come back at the end of that very briefly. And there's the last of the productive turns, and we're at the end of the turn. Well, we're rolling into the final turn, no matter what this is, the last turn, and we play it all the way through no matter what as well. The productivity, well, again, Aramaea has tons of money and food, but the others have enough, I think, to prevent the automatic victory. The question, of course, is, will Aramaea end up with the overall best percentage? And I don't know how well these kind of match up to these multipliers. We can see Aramaea's got a ×2. Judah's only got a ×1, which means that its additional victory points are really not worth much at all. The Philistines only have a ×1.5. Both of them are not ahead as much by any means as Aramaea is, so they have to really do quite a bit to change the tone of this game. I don't think that's very likely. It would take lots and lots of actions. Well, they also need the build phases to get their actions going. Obviously, if the Philistines can capture a decent amount of Tyre, if Judah could capture a decent amount of this, that would work well. But yeah, the Aramaean multiplier is kind of odd. While Judah has a lot of advantages in the long game, I think the balance of power makes it not too unlikely for them to end up in this situation, whereas Aramaea may be in the position where they're, in this game we definitely saw Aramaea in a position of coming in as the champion against the guys who were close to winning. And now, yes, they're close to winning too, but that ×2 multiplier is kind of strange. I mean, obviously, Tyre and Moab are going to be hard to win with. But Aramaea ×2? I mean, unless the Philistines and Judah make an alliance early on, which maybe this assumes, I don't know, it seems that Aramaea has got the strongest single position in the game walking into it. They've got a lot of wealth, a good kind of corner position. It's going to be tough to gang up on them. Certainly Moab could fight them, or Judah could fight them. Tyre's in a position to fight them, but that's it. I mean, someone can cross here and maybe fight them if they're doing well, and they're really locked in with Tyre. But they have this very protected position between the Jordan River, these neutrals, which of course could be turned against them. That is a possibility, but Judah cannot. So it does feel a little strange. A factor you have to take into play when you look at the game. Yes. Something I forgot, the event phase. The Aramaeans drew another alliance chit. They tried to activate Edom, but again, even though they have a +1 bonus for their military being next to it, and threw 5 resources in, Judah and the Philistines managed to come up with 6 resources, enough to prevent any chance of an alliance occurring. Alright, we're going to load this one up, and, well, I'm probably not going to finish this tonight, so I'll see you tomorrow morning.